top now. No, nothing can move you. Standing on the top now. No, nothing can move you.
I tell you. Boy, I tell you. She's gone, y'all. She's out of our lives. She's out of our lives. Yep, that's right. Lori Lightfoot is no more as the mayor of Chicago. And she brought it on herself. The situation with the Justice Smalley, the situation with the Rahm Emanuel cover up and not prosecuting the police department, her caping for everybody but the black people who put her in office, caping for LGP, caping for black and caping for the brown community, caping for everybody but black. Now let's get this straight. I'm a humanist. Everybody should be serviced by their mayor. But the ones who voted you in priority should be the primary servicer. Number one, numero uno. If it was white women that got you to the dance, of course, I expect you to represent white women with some key legislation. If it was LGBTQ got you to the dance, if they got you in the dance in priority or primarily, if they were the biggest number voting base, you should serve them as a priority. When the black community go all out and put you in office in huge numbers like we always do, 90% plus, your number one priority should be them because they the one put you in office. And then take care of everybody else. I'm not saying don't look out for everybody else, but your number one priority. See, when Barack Obama became the president, black people put him in office in the high 90s, 95% up. But the first thing he did was pass the Lilly Ledbetter Act that provide equal pay for women, mostly his mom's side of the family. It didn't do too much for black women. Black women still stayed under the radar when it came to equal pay. But look here, I got to show my promise to my mom, so I'm looking out for my mother, which his mom is white. His dad is Black Kenyan. So, of course, he's going to feel the need to do something on behalf of his mom, who he believed never got equal pay. But it ain't about you. It's about the people who put you in office. He who put you in office in majority should be your first priority. Say it with me. He who put you in office in the majority should be your first priority. And that's where Lori Lightfoot messed up. She literally put her foot in her behind and in her mouth at the same time. I'm going to get into this article, and then we're going to take it from there. Bring that up. Bring it up. Let me read this article to you. Understanding what happened in the Chicago mayoral race. Into the Chicago mayoral primary, the incumbent, Lori Lightfoot received only 17% of the vote. That is an epic fail. That is na, bye bye, you with the old nana. Oh, man, that jump probably ill. Real ill. Probably get you ill. Just one smell. You sick as a dog. Let me stop. She failed to finish in the top two and is ineligible to participate in the April runoff that would choose Chicago's next mayor. Why did this happen, and what does it mean for the future of Chicago politics and for the matter of the Democratic Party? I can tell you, William Gastel, but let's see your point of view. And after that, I'm going to tell you what happened. In much of today's politics, large organizations are less important than they once were. And candidates for office are individual entrepreneurs who must piece together their own majority. Chicago is different. Although the fabled daily machine has disappeared, enduring organizations still dominate many of the city's 50 wards, and large unions can still determine the outcome of citywide contests. That's everywhere. In my opinion, unions should have nothing to do with politics, but yet here we are. Two unions stand above the rest of the Windy City: the police and the teachers union. Lightfoot managed to lose the confidence of both because she didn't take care of the needs of both, creating a huge opportunity for her competitors. I can care less about the police union. Paul Vallis, who finished first with 34% of the vote. Let me take that back. I care about all unions as long as they're, doing their job and, not overreaching. Paul Vallis. Now, I think Paul Vallis was a former school superintendent. He finished first with 34% of the vote and was backed by the police. So here you got a school superintendent who's backed by the police, while Brandon Johnson, brother, who came in second with 20%, got the endorsement of the teachers, two of the biggest unions in Chicago. The election also had an ideological dimension because Chicago has only one major political party, that's Democrats. Fights that in many places would be waged between the parties take place among Democrats. Johnson ran as an unabashed progressive. Now, again, progressivism mindset is not a political ideology. It's not a political party. It's a mindset. We believe in certain things concerning the people. I'm neither. I got some progressive. I got some conservative. I'm my own dude. Vallis as a law and order moderate. Lightfoot, who was expected to govern as a progressive, which she did not. She went center right, Joe Biden, kiss up. That was Laura Lightfoot, hoping that she can get a bigger position with bigger pay. Well, anyway, she managed to antagonize many of her potential allies, and the center ground she was left to defend wasn't large enough or as enthusiastic as she needed. She won 16 of the 50 wards, almost all with below average turnout. Below average turnout. In other words, she did not make peace awards with the community. She just figured all the black people just gonna vote for her because I'm black. All the women gonna vote, black women gonna vote for me because I'm black. All women gonna vote for me because I got women's interests at heart. These men don't. Or all LGBTQ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G got my back because I'm one of you too. See, this is the problem with most of these politicians. They figured since I'm one of you, you're going to support me. That's your big mistake. She won 16 of 50 awards. Now, I said 10 awards. She finished first with only one of the 10 awards with the highest turnout, compared to first place finishers in 6 awards for Vallis and 3 for Johnson. The 2020 redistricting, which is a problem, and a lot of time the Democrats are doing this, is not the Republicans. The Democrats are trying to get a stronghold on the people they hand pick versus the people that the people pick, which featured a struggle between Black and Latino leaders, result in 16 wards with Black plurality or majority. 14 Latinos dominate wards, 19 white wards, and for the first time, one Asian ward, which gave 58% of his vote to Vallis, the only white mayor candidate running this year. So in other words, they're saying the Asian, you went out there and gave all that hardcore, going all out to make sure you push stop Asian hate. You pass policies to make uh, hate against Asian a crime. I don't get that. How can you make hate criminal? Now I can see if you're attacking somebody physically, but just hating somebody or saying something hateful to somebody, that's criminal in a country where we're supposed to have freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of ideas, even if it's wrong. You know, to criminalize that, that's fascism. And who pushed that in this election? The Biden administration. Black people yet to get a hate crime bill passed. Some people say we already have one. Well, we need one that's got some teeth to it. Trash out the other one because they're not executing it. Roland Martin. We need a new, stronger one. New. We had people get killed in Buffalo, the whole 9 yards. No hate crime. We got police cops of all colors, is even black, going around brutalizing black people in the community. No hate crime bill. Anyway, let me continue. 14 Latino-dominated wars. Now, understand this. Chicago always had a history of Latinos. I mean, Latino and black pretty much run Chicago, except in the white wards, predominantly white wards. So you're going to always have this struggle. And there's some division between the two. But they're trying to make it seem like 58% of Asians who voted for Vallas to be the office running as mayor, white guy, Democrat, 58% of Asians voted for him. Now, depending on how many Asians are in Chicago, because 58% is a lot, and they'll try to make you think millions of Asians voted for this white guy, which is not a problem. As long as he do right by the community, I have no problem with that. With the white guy, the black guy, Latino guy, the gay woman, whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you service the people. And that's where Laura Lightfoot messed up. Lightfoot, who is black, no ish, Sherlock, carried most of the black wards in Chicago's South Side. But with unimpressive margin, Johnson, the other leading black candidate, did best in north portion of the city, which blends multiple ethnic groups, Jews, Pakistan, East Asian, among others, with white progressives. He also did well in Hyde Park, where the University of Chicago is located. Vallas racked up huge wins in northwest portion of the city, home to the largest population of the Poles, Ukrainians and other working middle class whites. So the brother ran as a progressive. So when you run as a progressive, you go and talk about workers' issues and the progressive platform, and that's it. He didn't. I guarantee he ain't talk about anything black first or going out to service black people. But had he did, he probably would have won in landslide because he already had a progressive vote. Black people would have. Lori wasn't doing that. She only taught black first when she feel like things didn't go her way. But she governed so horribly to the point that the people got fed up. We needed progressive things, healthcare, tuition assistance or free tuition. New York is already on the mark. They got healthcare that if you don't have the money, you're going to get healthcare no matter what. And that's not going to cost you if you don't have money. It's no cost healthcare if you don't have a job. If you don't have a job, if you do have a job, it's still going to be pretty cheap. Chicago need to have policies like that, and the mayor failed to do that. And the progressives would not support her. She spit in the face of progressive by kissing the behind of centric Democrats, putting them over the people. Now, we black people need to wake up because we still sniffing the behind of the Democratic Party. And they keep treating us like dogs. What about the Republicans? This ain't got nothing to do with the Republicans. We already know how they are. Nobody going over there. And we're going to stop trying to resist them when we need to resist you first. Despite being the only Latino candidate, Jesus Chuy Garcia finished a disappointing fourth with less than 14% of the vote. He carried only 6 wards, all led by Latino aldermen and women. And all but one of these wards, Vallis finished second, ahead of all the black candidates, and Lightfoot's support was mirrored in single digits. This brings us to the April runoff, when Chicago voters would choose between a moderate Democrat and the progressive Democrats. And his allies have already made it clear that they will try to exploit this ideology divide by depicting Vallis as a closet Republican who is too conservative to lead a Democratic city. And rightfully so. That's your job. He's pretty much a conservative Democrat, just like Lori Lightfoot, who claims to be a progressive, but deep down inside, she rolls with conservative Democrats. And so do Marianne Williamson. So do anybody that's running for major office. If they're running in that party, they're going to always lean toward the conservative, even though they appear to lean toward progressives. And they show not even going to touch the Black First issue. Shout out to Nina Turner. Johnson and his allies have already made it clear that they will try to exploit the ideological divide by depicting Vallis as a closet Republican, who he is. And guys, just because somebody conservative doesn't mean they're a Republican. Stop. Oh, he's a closet Republican. Just because I'm conservative don't mean I am a Republican, you dumb idiot. Just because you progressive don't mean you're Democrats. Why don't you get this stuff out of your mind? Ideologies don't have nothing to do with party. Now, a party can lean toward legislating toward an ideology, but ideology doesn't make a party. There's conservatives who don't like the Democrats or Republican. You got some conservatives that's Democrats. You got some conservatives that are Republican. There's some that don't like neither one of them, and vice versa with progressives or Democrats. You got some Democrats that you got some non-voters. You got some people that are leftists, some socialists, some communists. You got them all types that's not attached to the Democratic Party. You got centrist, leftists, communists, socialists, all kinds of stuff in the Democratic Party, but that don't mean that it's a Democratic Party mindset. It's a teaching, it's an ideology, it's a mindset. But let me keep going. Public safety in Chicago was a huge issue, and it should, in the first round of the election, and is likely to remain so in the runoff. Over time, Johnson has wavered on this issue. Less than a month after George Floyd murdered, he sponsored a non-binding resolution calling on Cook County, in which Chicago is located, to redirect funds from policing and incarceration to public service not administered by law enforcement. Later, he denied supporting efforts to defund the police, and that's all defunding the police mean. We're just going to take some funds out of a certain area in the police department. It doesn't mean defund the whole police department. It doesn't mean abolish the police department. Start with the foolishness. It just mean that we're going to take some funds allocated over here and bring them over here. Mental health, special needs team. Not special forces, special needs team, things like that. We're going to take the money over here and make sure we stop focusing on army tanks for police officers, little army tanks, and focus on making sure we get some counselors out there to deal with people with autism and stuff like that. So we'll know how to deal with them just in case they have an episode and stuff like that. Over time, Johnson was wavered on the issue. Less than a month after George Floyd murder, he sponsored a non-binding resolution called Cook County, in which they redacted the funds we already talked about. Later, he denied support efforts to defund the police. It is unclear whether, and it's not defunding the police. It's just taking moving some money around within the police department. It's not going from the police department to the nightclub. It is unclear whether his new stance will be enough to persuade communities battered by violent crime, many of them Black and Latinos, to support him. Many Black and Latinos to support him. Talking about a runoff. Nor is it clear that how political tension between Blacks and Latinos that surfaced during the redistricting controversy will affect the election. If Johnson pour showing in if Johnson's poor showing in the Latino district Garcia carried reflects lingering bad feelings between the group. Latinos could tilt to violence or stay home on election day, which would probably doom Johnson's candidacy. But if the Latino progressives who represent the core of Garcia's following join forces with the progressive black candidate, the contest could be competitive, even though valleys begin with a 14-point edge over Johnson. Now, let me stop there for a second. Laura Lightfoot is out. Now, we need to see where this black support is going to go. 9 times out of 10, they have not been leaning toward progressive issues. Why? Because a lot of people that deal with progressive issues don't want to talk about black issues. They're all about the collective. And when it comes to voting, it ain't all about the collective when you go to the polls. Still, at the end of the day, black people vote in the high majorities and everybody else don't. And like I said, he who votes for you in the majority should be the priority. It is clear whether Johnson can mobilize a downscale black vote that failed to turn out in sufficient numbers for Lightfoot. I want you to listen to that, because some people say, well, it wasn't just black people. It was the FBAs, the foundational black, but every black person. Let's get this clear. It's nor finally is it clear whether Johnson can mobilize a downscale black vote. The black vote is never downscale. We vote in the 90s. They consider downscale 89%, 85%, when most of people only vote 50 to 60%. And some below that, Asians below that, some Latinos below that. We go out in the huge numbers and vote. And as soon as we skip a step, 3 points, we had a low voter turnout. Get out of here. If it wasn't for us voting, you wouldn't even be in office. And that goes for majority of you people in office. White people, if you address them right, they'll get out and vote. You need to have a separate platform for each community. You need to go listen to each community and listen to them and develop a platform based on their needs. He who will get out to the polls the most should be the priority of your manifestation of those needs. Now, the black community is talking about black agenda. No black agenda, no vote. They're talking about reparations and equal rights, even financially. Laura Lightfoot didn't talk about that, and his brother didn't talk about that. And if you don't talk about this, Val is he's gonna win anyway. He's gonna win because black people are not gonna come out and vote. And you guys get upset. You said if you don't vote, then you're the problem if you don't vote. No, you're the problem because you're not giving me a reason to vote for you. I'm not just going to vote for you just because you're black. I'm not going to vote for you just because you run as a Democrat. I'm going to vote for you based on what you plan on doing for this community. And that's the way it's supposed to be. What you got on my 40, homie, what you going to do for the people here. These are the things we need to make happen in my community. You want our vote? Start working on this right now. Stop preaching it. Start teaching it. Get it out there on the forefront, make it a major plank in your platform, talk about it all the time, because at the end of the day, it's us who's going to get you in the power, nobody else. Now, you saw what you just went through, 14 points, 10 points. I mean, some of these people are so low in voting that is ridiculous. And Laura Lightfoot ignored the needs of the black community, covered up crimes, and expect somebody to vote her back in for another term. No. And this is a warning to every one of you politicians. You better run on a platform that's going to cater toward the needs of the people in your community. And you definitely better get a black majority, because we get out the vote. We have most of the energy more than anybody. And if you want that vote, you better give them what they want. Like Batista said, give me what I want. Give me what I want. You better give them what they want. And once we elect you, don't you dare act like you high and mighty and condescending and turn your nose up on us. And when we go to a town hall and ask you a couple questions, you want to act stupid. Man, don't come at me like this. Man, come on, what you doing? You don't come at me like that. You don't come out with me on camera. No, why the hell I won't? I supposed to. I supposed to confront you. And I supposed to get everybody to know your answer. I'm not going to keep that to myself. What's your answer on this, Congressman? You mean? Jamal Bowman? You don't down talk that dude. You don't come at me like that with no question like that, with no camera like that. Why? You think this is a joke? You think this is a game? See, it's time for people to stop doing politics, and politicking just means many bloodsuckers. It's time for us to stop that and do some real governing. You want a position of power to govern? Then get to govern. And if you don't get to govern when I put you in office, I'm going to govern you everywhere you go. Anytime I find you, I'm going to confront you about this situation. I'm going to be nonviolent. I'm going to be peaceful. I might be a little loud if you're not listening to me, but hear me out. It's not me to hear you out. I got you, bro. We heard you, bro. I got you. You ain't listening to what I'm saying, man. You got me when I see I get got. Or you going to get got because I'm going to get your butt out of office. One thing is clear, Democrat prospect in 2024 will be shaped by the salience of the crime issue, turnout among Black voters, and the shifting preference of Latinos who are becoming an important swing vote. The outcome of the April runoff in Chicago will shed some early light on these trends, and the Democrats should be paying attention. Now, let me go to another article. And I'm saying this, I have to say this, because you got numbnuts like Mayor Adams that are so freaking entitled. And as soon as one of their very own lose election, they be like, oh, shoot, I might be next. Oh, they might be coming to get me next. And that's exactly what happened. Eric Adams made a comment on Lori Lightfoot. Now, before I get into this comment, I want to talk to you politicians out there. Somebody should run for office. And when you run for office, your intention is to win or to move the policies where everybody can win. Well, you may not win, but everybody still can win because you pushed back on your opponent on certain issues or pushed them towards certain issues or pushed them away from certain issues, depend. Those are your two major things that you're supposed to be running for. To win office so you can push policies that's going to help the community and then help everybody else, businesses, blah, blah, blah. But community first. Now, if you are running for office, again, like I told you last year, your greatest power vote is Black community. I'm not knocking any other community. Everybody should get out and vote if they see something in it for their vote. Voting should always be looked at as a commodity and make sure there's an exchange for that commodity. I'm not just going to go to the store and give you money and not order nothing at McDonald's. I'm not just going to hand you money. I ain't got no tab over there. No, if I give you $10, I expect to get a meal. Fries and all, supersized, $10. I expect to get a meal. I'm not giving you my money without something in exchange, and you shouldn't be giving out your vote without something in exchange. And too many politicians like Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Eric Adams, and a whole bunch of other people, they think politicking is just something that, that's your enemy. I'm your friend. Vote for me. No, you both my enemies. You both are. I have no friend. This is business. I put you in office to do a job for my community, and if you don't do it, you're out of here. I ain't got time for these games. And don't you come with me with, fear Trump and fear all these other people. That's not going to work, especially in the primary. Now, Mayor Adams, my mayor here in New York, he had something to say about the situation. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what he had to say. New York City mayor says Lori Lightfoot loss in Chicago is a warning sign for the country. How? Well, we're gonna find out. Let's listen to this audio. As if a commercial don't come up first. Lo and behold, commercial come up first. So how, bruh? How? Now, Mayor has been having a hard time here. He's not governed here. Just like Chicago, they're trying to muddy up the demographic when it comes to the vote. They allowing all these immigrants coming in and give them free voter status, and they're not even citizens. Let's see.
Made at an interfaith breakfast this week. I want our viewers to listen to it.
Don't tell me about no separation of church and state. State is the body, church is the heart. You take the heart out of the body dies. I can't separate my...
What the heck is he talking about? There's a separation of church and state. The real separation of church and state is the state kept getting involved with what the church was doing. It's not the church was getting involved with the state, contrary to what most of you believe or what you were told, especially from Progressiveville. No, the state was bothering the church. That's one of the reasons. The other one is the freedom to have slaves. One of the reasons why a lot of people left England, Great Britain, to come to the United States is because the state was trying to infiltrate in their religious practices. So they came here. At least that's what they told us. But I can see why that's a logical reason to come here. The primary reason why the settlers came here to the United States is because they heard about free land, prosperous land. They heard about it. Some of them seen it and came back and told the people about it, grabbed their families and came this way. Another reason is because England began to abolish slavery in Great Britain, in England. It still did business and allowed slavery everywhere and still did slave business everywhere, but it just was abolished in England, and it was talking about doing it all over when it came to their colonies. And some people didn't like that. So like, I'm leaving. I got to have the ability to get some free labor to help me build my business. Anyway, let's continue to hear what this con artist say.
Believe because I'm an elected official.
You also said you implement policies with a, quote, godlike approach, and said, quote, when we took prayers out of schools, guns came into schools. You know that those comments alarmed some people, even some religious leader.
Now, I agree with that. I agree with that. There was a time when, when people had a basic sense of religious ideology, not no extremism, but basic sense, traditional, go to church, have a great family, great job, and stuff like that. There was a time, but the moment they banned prayer in school, then a lot of other craziness came. It's like a protection came off of a whole lot of things when we banned prayer. Now, look, I'm all for prayer in school, but again, I don't think you should force nobody to pray, just like you shouldn't force nobody to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You shouldn't force people to do these things. People should want to do these things. Give them a reason to do these things. You don't force them to do this. And she said he does business in a godlike approach. And I'm telling you, this dude, he's got a superiority complex. He's a narcissist. A lot of cops are narcissists. If they weren't narcissists before, and that's the reason why they got in the force, they eventually become a narcissist. How do I know? I was married to one. Beautiful woman, but narcissist.
Religious leaders, rather, who were in the room. A rabbi who was there called it dangerous.
Well, listen, let's be clear on something. The last words I said after I was sworn in is "So help me God." All
right, so this is not what this article about. So I thought he was going to talk about the race, the Chicago race. But let me get to the article. New York City Mayor Eric Adams on Sunday brushed aside the suggestion that Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot re-election loss was merely a warning sign for Democratic mayors instead of calling it a warning sign for the country at large. I showed up at a crime scene. This is Mayor Adams talking. I knew what New Yorkers were saying. So he was calling the city of New York a crime scene. I don't understand why people do this stuff. The city of New York ain't no big crime scheme. Yes, we got crime like everybody else. We got a little more of it because of our population, but we're no different from anybody else. Bronx getting a little bit crazy because, you know, that's another story. But we're no different from anybody else. I showed up at a crime scene. I knew that New York was what New Yorkers were seeing, and I saw it all over the country. I think, if anything, it is really stating that this is what I have been talked about. America, we have to be safe. Adam told CNN Dana Bash in State of the Union. Adam was elected mayor in 2021 after campaign focusly on public safety and combating rising crime. Now, most people voted for him, not for the combat, not for rising crime. A lot of people vote for him because they thought he was going to do a little better job than Mayor de Blasio when it comes to servicing the needs of the people, their personal needs, not no crime stuff. He wants to use that so he can do more policing, so he can militarize the police, so he can use New York to be his little country and he can be the dictator of the country. Lightfoot, who was first elected in 2019, lost her re-election bid last week. Failing to make one or two runoff spots, Chicago is now the third major city in recent years with a mayoral election that has tested attitudes among the heavily Democratic elected toward crime and policing. Violence in Chicago spiked in 2020, 2021, and although shootings and murders have decreased since then, other crimes, including theft, carjacking, robberies, let me go back to say that, although shooting and murders have decreased since then, other crimes, including theft, carjacking, robberies, and burglaries, have increased since last year, according to the Chicago Police Department in 2022. Hey, you cancel people's job because they have to get get the V. They lose their job of 20 years. And man, got to do what he got to do, man. You know, I hate to say it, but desperate times come with desperate measures. Adam was asked Sunday about criticism for some Democrats who say his rhetoric on crime hurts the party and helps Republicans. And it do. It really, really do. The polls were clear. New Yorkers felt unsafe. What poll? And who took this poll? And when did you take this poll? These people always say the poll saying that sometimes ain't nothing, but the closest poll he got was a stripper poll that probably got some dirt on it. The polls were clear. New Yorkers felt unsafe, and the numbers showed that they were unsafe. He told Bash. Now, if we want to ignore what the everyday public is stating, what everyday public? What everyday public? New York always had crime issues. Always. Now we're going to ignore what the everyday public is stating, then that's up to them. I'm on the subways. You ain't on no subway, man. Stop lying. I walk the streets. Man, stop lying. You only do that for a photo op. I speak to everyday working class people. Man, if you don't stop lying and they were concerned about safety, man, shut your mouth. Stop your lying. Adam also addressed the scrutiny that has followed his remarks at an interfaith breakfast last week, in which he said, "Don't tell me about no separation, church or state. State is the body, church is the heart. You take the heart out of the body dies." I ain't got no problem with that. What I believe, he said Sunday, is that you cannot separate your faith. Government should not interfere with religion, and I agree with that. And religion should not interfere with government, and I agree with that. But I believe my faith pushes me forward to how I govern and the things that I do. And your faith, if you have a faith, a higher belief, it should inspire you to do things, but just don't try to cram it down other people's throat. If this mayor don't get his act together and service the people of New York, he's going to be next. He's not popular. He was never popular. He was a popular Brooklyn borough president. He was popular as borough president, but he was not popular. He lost. He had to go through a runoff, and he barely won. Barely. And with the job that he's doing now, he's barely going to win again. He's trying to find any excuse to get people off the streets. He's very, very Trump-like or very, very Republican-like when it comes to dealing with the homelessness, or very, very Nancy Pelosi-like. He wants to use the police department to get people off the streets that are homeless. He want to pass laws that say, hey, if you look like you're mentally insane, look, we may question you, inquire you, and send you to the jail and keep you there until we prepare for you to go to a homeless shelter, whether you like it or not. But we got to get you off the streets. That guy proposed to beef up more police so he can have enough police in the subways. Well, you know, the only thing that's really going on in the subways is showtime, bums asking for money, and people smoking weed. Now, I'm not talking about homeless people. I'm talking about straight up bums. Straight up bums. That's the only thing going on the train. Occasionally we get some violence on the train, but that's like getting some violence at a football game. These mayors they get these positions. We vote them into office. We vote them in office to do the bidding of the people. The people in New York, their bidding wasn't all about crime and stopping crime. It's on the list. It should be on everybody's list to make sure people are safe. But what we would like sometime is to be able to deputize our own force like they do in the Asian communities, where they have an Asian street police. Well, they're not waiting on the police department to come. If they see you doing something out of pocket, they got a chance to arrest and detain you until the police department comes. Well, black people want to be able to do that in our neighborhoods. We want to be able to deal with stuff in our neighborhood. When we see something out of pocket, we address it, then call you. We want to be able to do that. But you're not listening to the needs of the people. Lord Lightfoot are not listening to the needs of the people, especially the people who put you in the majority. See, right now they said Lord Lightfoot lost because of the black vote, and it's true. And Mayor Eric Adams will lose the black vote too, because he's not servicing the need of the black community. Black community get you in the high numbers. It wasn't the Latinos, it wasn't the Asian, it wasn't white. It was black people getting you in their high numbers. We got you the power, but you refuse to use the power to take care of the needs of the people who put you in power. And that is horrible. That is shameful. And to think you're going to get another opportunity to run for office, you really, really think that? You don't lost your ever loving doggone mind.